First things first, let's talk about collection bonuses for the upcoming season. As a manager fully focused on the classic season cards, the bonuses I have here will be pivotal for these specific players in the upcoming season. For example, Burnley here, they could be a big one now they're back in the Championship, as well as Lyon with European football game week soon to be approaching. But are bonuses the be-all and end-all for classic season cards? They certainly help, of course, but I'm not putting all of my eggs in the proverbial collection and stack basket for the upcoming year. It doesn't feel like it aligns with the situation of my wallet right now. I just want to be a bit smarter with collections that I've currently got and going forward in the future. For example, Damien De Silva here, he recently joined Clermont-Foot in the French 2nd Division. I received an offer for him and I instantly rejected it, of course, because he's part of my Lyon FC collection, which is on a 5% bonus. That's the highest bonus you can get. But then I checked that collection a bit deeper and I was on 800 points. You only need 750 points to maintain the 5% bonus, with Damien De Silva taking up 20 of those points. So I've done the maths, 800 minus 20 equals 780, which is in fact 30 points more than the required 750. So I literally don't need Damien De Silva. I'm never going to complete the Lyon stack and I'm never going to use the card in SO 5. So it's almost like, what's the fucking point in keeping him in the account? He's just taking up space. I don't want you anymore. I'm done with you. So then another offer came in for him and I sold him for £1. So obviously not a lot of money, right? It's not going to go super far, but you know, it's literally doing nothing, my account, affecting nothing. So, you know, I'd rather have that small amount of cold hard cash money for a card who is effectively useless. Obviously, no offense to Damien De Silva. If he's watching this right now, I'm sure you're not completely useless in real life. I'm also sure you've probably got better things to do than watch this, but you know, just in case, cover all bases there. Anyway, what the fuck am I on about? My account for the upcoming 24-25 season in the Contender bracket. I've revamped it a little bit. I've sold some shit, I've bought some shit, and I'm probably still going to do shit, but we're going to have a non-shit time going over it together, so let's get right into looking at this. And the strategy is clear for me. As I said, the focus is fully on classic season entries. I would certainly love to get some in-season teams going, but anyone who plays Sorare at the moment has seen the crazy prices on the pre-access cards, especially at limited level where it's hyper-inflated as the most accessible scarcity, no surprise there, and that's just not something I'm willing to pay over the odds for at the moment. And I'm just considering the contender prices here as well, right? As obviously that's what we're focusing on today. Probably the least desirable bracket to compete on in paper. So if we take Fabian Rees here, for example, he's a great scoring forward in the Bundesliga too. The man clearly knows where the goal is. He has a long-term contract with Hertha as well, so not expecting him to leave anytime soon to a higher division. All in all, a very beneficial card to have in any Contender and Bundesliga 2 teams. If we check his price graph, we can see the area his pre-access came into play, and they've been going for roughly £50, sometimes a little lower, sometimes exponentially higher, which is fucking ridiculous. What the fuck is that about? He's usually a tenner, for fuck's sake, so why would I pay 50 for an in-season one when I can get a classic season one for a tenner? Which is what I did, by the way. That's why we're talking about him. Look at Fabian Rees. What a great segue that was. That was truly genius YouTubing right there. He makes up the forward spot of my brand new #1 Contender Limited Classic Season team for next season. We've gone for a Bundesliga 2 strong team here, and it's pretty star-studded in terms of the division, you have to say, for a 2nd Division team. You know, we've got Rees up top, joined by Glatzel of Hamburg, with his teammate Muheim at the back, surrounded by Klastenmeier and Leopold to round out the team. And the reason I plan on making this the highest entry of my free contender slots at limited level is quite simply down to their SO 5 scores. No shit, right? The logic is pretty sound there. You want the best scoring players in the best team. I think some people put them in lower divisions. Fuck that. We're going for the glory here. We want the good stuff. And Muheim here, straight off the bat, we can see dark greens from his last 5 through to his last 40. And looking further at those scores down below, you have to be seriously impressed at the SO 5 output from a defensive point of view. Obviously, defenders are naturally less likely to get decisives in the form of goals and assists. So, you know, the top defenders often make up for that in terms of their AA score. And Muheim has certainly got that in the bank. His AA score here of 55, for example, against Paderborn in a 1-0 loss. I mean, he got a triple-triple. Whatever the fuck that is, I always forget. He wins tackles and duels, that's also super important for a defender, and we can see he's often driving forward and putting passes into the final third, so certainly a card that I'm really happy about. Of course, the downside here is that with that style of play, you know, possession loss scores, they're always going to be quite negative, but, you know, hopefully you can make up for it with all the other scores. That's always going to be part of the parcel for a defender of Muheim's type. And, you know, we want to push the ceilings of those possible SO 5 scores. The max 100, he's certainly one of the best options there. Leopold is arguably the weak point of this team, outfield in that midfield spot, but that's not necessarily a slight against him. It's more of an indication of how strongly I believe that this is a top team at contender level, because Leopold is often posting AA scores that are 20 plus, so you can't knock that at all. The issue with contender teams is often the summer transfer window, right? You never know if they're going to go or stay right up until the kickoff, and even then they can go after that, so it's always a bit risky. But I've done the research on these 5. They've all got long-term contracts for second division sides, which, you know, doesn't make it impossible that they won't leave, but it definitely indicates that a higher transfer fee would be required to prize them away. So I think for a total outlay of about £60, this should be a team able to compete at the highest level on a chunk of game weeks and definitely return my investment throughout the course of the season. The next issue is then circling back to what I said at the start about collection bonuses, which is of course that I don't have any collection bonuses on these players, and it will be harder to acquire such bonuses now that cards are no longer being auctioned for the seasons I have them under. And that's perhaps just something I'm going to have to battle with internally in my heart. And, you know, I could even potentially finally utilize the fucking millions of limited level ups I keep getting from boxes to counteract this. So that's always a play. At the rare level then, I still need a bit of time to get my ducks in a row. And quack, quack. Goalkeeper spot looks set to be occupied by Zelenika of Varazden, capable of clean sheets for sure, with his backup Silic waiting in the wings if needed. That was a loud Discord. I'm going to mute that because that was fucking bad YouTubing. I've then tried to go for a full Paris FC outfield, the plan being Mbao, Cabal, Dicko and Gori. It was WhatsApp, not Discord. I fucked that up as well. I'm just a fucking idiot. Who did I say was outfield? The players I just said was outfield. This has been a struggle so far. Anyway, the players, as I said, were Mbao, Cabal, Dicko and Gori, all players capable of scoring decently in Paris FC wins, and with Paris FC no longer being a minted club as well, I'm also wondering if these cards may actually count as in-season cards as opposed to classic season cards they would used to under the old rules of the game, but Sorare change everything every 6 months, so I have no fucking clue anymore. The issue so far has been securing a current season Cabal and Gori, and Cabal is certainly the key player of any lineup here, right? A quick look at his Sorare data shows that he's capable of posting upper 80 scores on the Reg with his high AA scores, combined with a very decent amount of decisives across the last season. So I'm happy for him to be hitting those heights, and I'm hoping he does that in my second choice limited team as well, a full Liga 2 setup. Instead of stacking, though, I've done something similar with my Bundesliga 2 stack with players from across the league in the form of Basile in net. Barbet at the back. Remains to be seen if I have to replace him now that Bordeaux are all fucked up the shitter. They're just not a club anymore, which is not ideal for them. You kind of want to be a club to do football stuff. And then I've got Corridor Diaz occupying the final spots of the team around Cabal there. So the forward spot was actually the main issue here outside of Bordeaux's problems. Corridor clearly a capable striker who posts a decent decisive return across the season, but he needs, you know, a good run of form for me to really achieve good success with this team. All the cogs basically need to turn in unison here, right, for this team to really, you know, just do shit. And half the time Corridor is getting those amber or even lower scores, so that hurts a bit. Obviously Barbet, as I mentioned, is a bit of an AA beast despite his advancing age. Hopefully he stays in Liga 2. I think I did see Saudi Arabia links, which is sad, but there you go. And then Pedro Diaz, I'm actually quite excited about, despite my limited knowledge of him and the league itself. He finished off last season with some great SO5 performances and some big AA scores, so I'm hoping he can build on that. I just realised he plays for Bordeaux as well, for fuck's sake! And clearly the theme today is AA scores, right? I obviously believe they're a big part of bolstering up any SO5 entries you have. Decisives alone just won't cut it anymore. Think of decisives as like the lead singer of a band, but they're nothing without the AA scores on the drums and the bass and like the guitar and shit. It sounded like a really smart analogy when I wrote that down, but now I'm saying it out loud. Kind of sounds fucking stupid, but you know, it's what you get with autism. In any case, AA is super important, and that's why my weakest team in the Contender Limited entries is my SD Eibar stack. And for anyone unaware, I actually won Division 1 Contender Limited with this stack a couple of months back for $700. So what the fuck has happened in the span of a few months to take this from one of my best performing teams to the worst of the worst? Well, the team has been heavily decimated after a failure in the playoffs, and I fear for Eibar's chances to build on that from last season. You know, key player, Egor Ketske, he's gone. He's my dad currently in the account, so that's a shame. Stoichkov and Tejero have been sold to the La Liga, leaving Arbia and Bautista as the remaining members of this team's former glory. Even Lucas Adan, the goalkeeper, is left for fellow League 2 club Granada. Granada? What? Granada? Words are hard, and he's still going to slot in as my final goalkeeper. you know, with that utility there still ongoing, so that's still nice at least, but it does kill the stack in essence. And, you know, without further spending money on other Liga 2 players, keeping it strictly Eibar and Zidane in goal, it looks like Pereira and Korpas will be filling in the final spots of this team, which certainly does not fill me with optimism. Pereira is mid, both in terms of position and SO5 scores. And, you know, we can look at Korpas here, and he has shown glimpses of being a capable SO5 scorer, but, you know, he's not really gonna set any football pitches alight, metaphorically. Of course, don't start forest fires, children. So I don't really know. I feel like that team's kind of fucked. I'm really excited about that Bundesliga 2 team, right? And we'll see what the Rares can do. So we just got to hope that these teams can kick off the season early doors, firing strong, and maybe I can capitalize on the current sky-high prices of new season cards with some early rewards and boxes. So I've sort of rambled on today with a load of shit, but I have set the scene for video versions of this with Challenger and Champion in the next coming week, so you should like and subscribe to just check those out when they drop, and I'll fucking catch you next time because I love you.